to speed. Yeah.
Brilliant. So one of the strap lines I saw for the film was, "We all have an inner monster." Your character's kind of more of an outer monster.
She's an inner monster and an outer monster. I mean, she's just a monster. It was amazing playing such a different role and really playing a part. But no, I can't say I liked her. I can't say I admired her. I can't say I understood her or empathised or any of those things that I wish I could say. It was very much playing a part. And I had to see it as that. You know, I had to just say to myself, okay, these people don't exist. This is nothing like reality. This is just a story that we're telling. And researching it, you know, I said to John Hillcoat, I said, well, you know, I can't go off and research this role. You know, that's not going to be possible. She's a Russian-Israeli mafia boss, basically. She's running her husband's operation whilst he's in prison. I mean, it's not a role I'm going to enjoy researching. And he said, don't worry, I'll just send you some visual reference and some stuff to read. And that was enough for me. But it was great fun. And working with John Hillcoat's something that I felt really privileged to be able to do. I'm a huge fan of his work and have admired him since The Proposition, which is a film he did with Guy Pearce, which I just absolutely loved. And he's a very gentle person, actually, which is quite surprising given that a lot of his films are really quite violent and have a lot of conflict. But it was a great experience, and I'm very, very happy that I was able to be a part of it.
And what about the accent? Because as you said, Russian, Israeli, that's...
Yeah. It was really hard. When they asked me to play the part, I phoned a dialect coach who I've worked with before, and I said, okay, listen, before I go any further, can we do Russian-Israeli? And he said, absolutely. What is it? And I went, oh, God. I said, what do you mean, what is it? Why don't you know? He said, well, I don't know. I've never done a Russian-Israeli dialect. Well, we'll figure it out, and I'll go off and learn it, and then I'll teach you. How does that sound? I was like, okay. So every step of the way, I did really feel quite nervous, but it was just a case of listening to lots of recordings of people who sound like that and finding something that felt comfortable and just make it coherent and believable. But it was definitely challenging, having never done anything like that before. And there's always the fear, oh God, is it too thick? Is it too little? Is it too harsh? And, there's a little bit of a wing and a prayer as well that gets thrown into the mix as well.
But her whole look as well kind of ties into her voice. I kind of felt like her, the way that she looked was an extension of her voice. And I think John said something about her. One of his quotes about her is that she's a nasty piece of work, but really glamorous.
Yes, that was how he described her to me as well, which I was initially quite surprised by because knowing nothing about that world at all, I was quite surprised at how opulent he wanted her to look and glamorous and pulled together. But also, we made it really important. It was important to both John and I that she looked old, that she didn't look too glamorous, that it wasn't too perfect. There was something slightly trashy about it as well. So the nail colour is wrong and the nails are a bit too long and the hair is just a bit too big and the clothes are just a bit too garish, and the jewels are just a bit too fat. It had to all feel a bit off. And it was great fun. I mean, it really was, and quite an experimental process as well of, more mascara, a different lipstick. That one's too nice. Wear that one. It's, kind of trashier. And but it was great fun, really great fun.
And what about sort of difficulties on set? I heard that you broke your toe or something doing this.
Yeah, I broke my toe, but I always do something. I always injure myself in some way. I've got lots of war wounds. I mean, I could literally say that's Titanic, that was Sensibility, this was. I mean, I've all over me. So, but breaking my toe, it was slightly irritating, to be honest, because we'd actually finished our filming for the day, and Chiwetel and I were shooting the scene between the two of us in the restaurant, and I stood up to go and change, and an extra was standing up from his chair at the same time as I stood up from mine, and his chair just toppled backwards, and it was a big heavy mahogany chair, and it just landed on the knuckle of my big toe and completely broke it, and it was swollen immediately and very, very bruised. And then the following day I had to try and squeeze that foot into the tight red boots that were very important to Margot Wilson, our costume designer, but I was just so determined. Okay, I'm wearing the red boots no matter what happens. I shall put the boots on, it'll be fine. And you just soldier on, those things happen.
And obviously this cast is amazing. It's a great ensemble
incredible cast. Yeah, absolutely incredible cast. And I knew that Chiwetel was going to play the lead. I think also Anthony Mackie had been cast at that point, as had Casey Affleck, and I am a fan of all of them. And to be in that company, you know, it was great. Even though I had overlap with very few of them, most of my stuff was with Chiwetel. But just to be a part of that team, you know, it really means a great deal, you know, and to work with people who are so nice and so good. It's wonderful, you know, and life is also about creating memories, and you know, to be able to look back on this moment and to have been in that company, you know, it's a great memory to have.
Obviously, we've got award season coming up. This is your, I think, 7th nomination. This is for Joanna Hoffman and Steve Jobs.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is it just run of the mill these days? I mean, is it, you know?
No, it still feels, you know, I think it gets more nerve-wracking actually, in a way, because you know, it's very different now to the way that it was years ago. There's a lot more media exposure. I think with social media, you know, it's very hard to escape the buzz of everything and who's the front runner and who isn't. And it's just extraordinary. But this year, above all other that I have been included, it feels like such a strong year for women. And this category, this is the category, the supporting actress category is the one that is so up in the air. You know, it's really unpredictable. There's no real shoe-in, I don't think. And that makes it all the more nerve-wracking. But it's just wonderful. It's been a great year for film and lots of wonderful performances, and you know, to be up there in that top 5, it is like having a golden ticket, you know, and it still feels that way to me. There's nothing old hat about it, you know. For my children as well, you know, they're 12 and 15, and my littlest is 2. But for the 12 and 15-year-old, you know, they get it now, and they know how hard it is as a job, and they know how hard it is to be one of those 5 golden ticket winners, and they are so excited. And so actually, their excitement is definitely affecting me a little bit too. And you know, it's wonderful. It's really wonderful, and they'll remember all of this. They'll remember these moments, and that's lovely.
I mean, how do you deal with that kind of pressure, if it still is a kind of pressure? How do you sort of prepare for these kind of things?
You know, about a week ago, I think I would have said to you, I'm just doing one day at a time. And now, honestly, I think I'm doing 1 hour at a time. 1 hour at a time. You know, I know I'm doing this right now, and then after this, I will go to a fitting. And then after that, I will go home. And then I'm going to cook dinner. And then I'm going to put everyone to bed. And then tomorrow is a whole new day. And you just 1 hour at a time. And also, I think keeping a level head and focusing on priority. You know, family is more important to me than anything else. And as long as everyone in my family is okay, then everything else is just fun and enjoyment. All fun and games. You just get through it.
And just quick final question, you know, how does it feel to be reunited with Leo on the red carpet? Are you excited for him? Are you rooting for him?
I'm so excited for him, and of course I'm rooting for him. I mean, I think, you know, it's been really interesting talking about this time and Leo's performance and the sense of goodwill that is behind him, and everyone wanting for it to be very much his year, because of course I'm in a film with Michael Fassbender, who is also nominated and gives an extraordinary performance, and I saw how hard he worked. I was there every day through every step of it for him, and he just did such a brilliant job. And so it's, you know, it isn't the easiest thing to say, but when I walk down the street and random strangers are saying to me, it's Leo's year, you know, there's something very touching about that, because, you know, to me what that says is how well liked Leo is, and how people are really rooting for him and really want this for him, and that's a lovely, lovely thing. But in terms of being reunited with him, I see him all the time, so it's not, it doesn't feel like any kind of a reunion, believe me. And we aren't doing anything that we don't sort of do or say to each other a lot of the time, but it's just fun to spend more time with him. You know, it's lovely to go through these moments with him, and to be able to look back and say, wow, God, what a time that was, you know, which I know that we will. I keep writing him little notes, and yeah, it's great fun.
Brilliant. Well, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's a great film, by the way. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you. Yeah.
So
thank you
not
very
what I
much.
expected. It was very...
Yeah, I know. It's